Craig's never shown an interest in beekeeping before, but that's the sound of him buying 2,000 worker bees rather than doing his self-assessment. Craig, you live in a 6th-floor flat. The deadline is 31st of January. Less distraction, more action.
Don't be like Craig. Visit gov.uk/self-assessment today. Payment support may be available.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Visit Blinds.com now for up to 45% off site-wide, plus a free professional measure. Rules and restrictions apply.
Let's do the 60-second savings challenge. Step 1, download Rocket Money. Step 2, link your accounts and see every subscription you're paying for. Tap one you don't use and cancel it. That's money back every month. Step 3, create a financial goal. $50 every paycheck. Or let the app automatically move small amounts of cash when you can afford it. In a week, you'll forget you set it up. In a month, you'll see real dollars piling up. In a year, you'll be shocked at how much money you've saved. Bonus challenge. Upload an internet or phone bill and let Rocket Money try to lower it. You only pay if they find you savings. On average, Rocket Money members can save up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Users love the app with over 186,000 5-star ratings. Make saving money the resolution you actually keep. Start the 60-second savings challenge at rocketmoney.com/cancel. That's rocketmoney.com/cancel. rocketmoney.com/cancel.
Hello and welcome to The Price of Football, the show that looks at the money behind the not so beautiful game this week with me, Kevin Day, and Liverpool University's Kieran Maguire, who's just done a fantastic impression of Stan Laurel, Kieran. That's really good. Did you mean to?
Well, not really. My hair's gone a bit fluffy, which probably means I need to get my hair cut. I like going to the guy in the village because one of the hairdressers, and this isn't. I'm trying to say this right. One of the hairdressers is mute, which is absolutely brilliant.
Oh wow!
You can't speak, and I don't want to talk to anybody when I get my hair cut. So I go 3. He gives me thumbs up, and everybody's happy. We just get on with it. No asking me about what you're doing this weekend. No, see the results. When I get my hair cut, I'm not interested in talking to anybody. So I found the perfect barber.
Do you think he's generally not mute, or he's just decided that's the way to get?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps it's his unique selling point, but I don't think he'd go down that route.
No, it's a bit extreme, isn't it? But you do have a look of Stan Laurel about. Except school Stan Laurel was ginger, very ginger.
Was he? Well, it didn't come through in black and white, I guess.
No, it didn't. No, he had very, very bright, light blue eyes as well, which he had to have lots of makeup on to cover. So, you look like you're somewhere fancy, Kieran. Where are you?
I'm at St George's Park, which is the FA sort of training facilities. So I'm thinking, I'm in this little room. Perhaps Sir Gareth Southgate. He might have done a Sudoku here one evening. Jack Grealish might have played noughts and crosses. Who knows what's taken place in this room before me?
Probably best not to speculate. Wayne Rooney may have been in there. Who knows? All sorts of people could have been in there. If it's any consolation, I'll tell you where I am, Kieran, and that's the naughty step.
Oh no!
Because I decided to have. I thought I'd have a jaunt in Streatham yesterday.
In your condition.
I thought, what could possibly go wrong? There's a bus stop down the road, which unfortunately was closed. I didn't let that stop me. I know, throughout, Ali wasn't best pleased and my physio wasn't best pleased either. But ironically, it took me quite some time to get up to the naughty step. And it's Newsday, Kieran. We're actually recording this on Tuesday evening for full disclosure. For various reasons, because you're away, because I've got more physio tomorrow. So once again, we'll make the usual Man City disclaimer, if that happens. Yes. Although we will do an emergency. We've got quite a few news stories, Kieran. So I might start shuffling uncomfortably on the hard chair. halfway through. So let's crack on and see how we get on. This one seems to come out of nowhere, Kieran, this Cardiff City story.
Yes, this is a strange one. The EFL, who I've said on many occasions have upped their game in recent years in terms of transparency and disclosure, all of the positive governance things which I'm really keen on. They do have a page on their website which lists all the transfer embargoes and the fee restrictions and so on. And it's a club that you don't particularly want to join, especially when the only other club involved at present is Sheffield Wednesday.
Right.
But on early on Saturday morning, I was contacted by a secret bluebird, and the secret bluebird says, "Take a look, Kieran. Can you get back to us on this?" So I take a look, and Cardiff City are up on what we refer to as an embargo. And what we mean by an embargo is that you have done something, which means that until you undo that, in effect, you are not allowed to make any signings. Now, this is section 2.4.1 of the PSR rules on page 257 of the EFL handbook. I know because I went there, and it says you've not submitted your accounts by the 31st of December. All clubs in the Championship have to submit the accounts for the previous season, i.e. for the 24-25, by the 31st of December. By then, it was around about the 9th or the 10th of January 2026. So EFL said, that's it. So people think I stir for the shake for the steak. No, for the
You're stirring and shaking now, Kieran.
Stirring and shaking, indeed. Yeah. Just for the glory of stirring, and I don't. I put out information. This information is already in the public domain.
Yeah,
and it did provoke quite a lot of comment from a section of Cardiff fans, and I also said this appears to be a bureaucratic issue, a non-submission of a form issue, and looking at the EFL website, it is resolvable to simply send in the accounts, and I assumed that Cardiff probably would be able to do that. Then I think it's fair to say a rather terse message appeared on the Cardiff City website late afternoon. It says, Cardiff City FC are aware of reports this morning. It wasn't reports, it was...
it's on the list, yeah.
It was the EFL who have put this up on the EFL website and wishes to clarify the situation. The club has no financial concerns. There were no accusations of financial concerns. So that confused me. And I'd said, there's the club's being subsidised to the same extent as before. I see no issues here. All necessary paperwork will be submitted in the coming days. But begs the question, why hasn't it? This is... I don't like deflection. I don't like distraction. There's no explanation as to why the paperwork has not been submitted. This issue will be resolved and any embargo will be removed. Okay, that's fair enough. That's just sort of confirming my view. And we also, it says, we wish to stress this will not impact our January recruitment strategy. If your January recruitment strategy was not to recruit any players, you're absolutely right. So, I just felt that the words potentially were a little bit disingenuous. And I think it could have been worded better. It could be that the press officer, Cardiff City, I think they're playing at Leyton Orient that day, this is all we need. Yeah. And the local media picked up on it and so on. It's very, very avoidable. I would have assumed that the accounts have already been submitted. Now, sometimes I've heard from clubs along the lines of, well, we're in the process of selling the club and therefore we couldn't submit the accounts. Okay, that doesn't really make any sense, because if I was a prospective buyer of a football club, and I've got no idea, by the way, if Cardiff City are up for sale, But this is sort of been an excuse which has been used at other clubs. If I was looking to sell or more importantly, looking to buy a club, I'd want the account to be audited because that gives them an extra degree of gravitas, an extra degree of security from a due diligence point of view. So therefore, again, it just doesn't make sense. And Cardiff City are top of League One, so they've got so many positives. This just seems a bit off kilter.
I suppose the problem is because you and I agree on at least one thing, and that's the need for transparency in football. Essentially, football fans are stakeholders in the club. But I understand. I've spoken to fans who say, "I'm not interested, don't care.
Yeah.
It's not my business. It's entirely up to the club what they do," which I respect. The other problem is, from the EFL's point of view, is that there's no distinction as to why the accounts have not been published. So they've got they've only got transfer embargo.
Yeah.
So it's not like they've got a lesser punishment because it's an administrative oversight. So of course, immediately you go to transfer embargo, people go, "Well, that's serious. That's really serious. How did the club allow that? Something big must be going on." And of course, the club are probably right. It's easily resolvable, and this time next week, it's not a story we'll even be thinking about. Yeah,
that's correct. But I mean, 10 minutes before we started recording, I went back onto the EFL website. We're now 3 or 4 days further in.
Yeah,
we've not seen any change.
Okay.
It just doesn't seem logical to me, and that's my very minor concern. And also, I think this has happened before with Cardiff City. It's an avoidable problem. Don't create noise. Is one of my sort of mantras to myself in terms of how I conduct myself in the non-social media world of football finance.
That EFL website there, is that updated on an hourly basis, a weekly basis?
Well, I think it's updated as and when things changes. I mean, I'll often go weeks and months without no need to update it. But you would think that should Cardiff City have submitted the accounts, the EFL would be commercially sensitive enough to say, right, we want to get rid of this.
Yeah. Sure.
And lots of fans have a misconception about the EFL that they're out to get their club or they're anti-football. You couldn't get further from the case. We've met Trevor, we've met Nick, and other people from the EFL, and we know how passionate they are about grassroots football and the importance of football clubs to their local communities.
An update on two takeover situations, Kieran. The first one being Tranmere Rovers.
Yes, Mark Palios, the owner of Tranmere Rovers, he's put out a long statement, and he explained, 12 months ago we thought we were about to sell the club, and it's a bit like selling a house. Sometimes things fall down. Now, we've never really managed to get to the bottom of this. My understanding was that there was a consortium. The nature of a consortium is that there are multiple people involved. If there's multiple people involved, every single person in that consortium has to pass the owners and directors test. I was picking up a vibe that one of those people failed the test. And in addition, I think one of the leading parties in the consortium was Donald Trump's lawyer. And without being rude, and we are not politically minded as far as the show is concerned, he had a busy year. He had bigger things to do, should we say? In respect of Mr. President Trump, and perhaps he lost interest. So I think it was one person got cold feet, another member of the consortium didn't look like they're going to pass, and I suspect the rest of the consortium said, let's get out of here. But that's the downside as far as 2025 is concerned. As far as 2026 is concerned, Mark Palios says we've got a new consortium involved, we've broadly agreed terms, and we're confident, and the words involved, in the next few weeks. So we've got a period of exclusivity, we've got new buyers ready and willing to move forwards and we will hope this will result in the outcome we're all hoping for. He also said the club had its biggest ever budget, that he's used his pension to subsidise the club because saying it's costing him 40 grand a week. So there's that as well. And also, I've met Mark on a good few occasions. I've been on panels with Mark. He's a combative person, there's no doubt about it. But also, I know that his health isn't great, and he does have other things to deal with as well. So I think for the sake of everybody, this sale, if it can go through as quickly as possible, then everybody can move forwards.
It's quite a pleasing image of Donald Trump in a meeting with his legal team and noticing that his lawyer is distracted because he's doodling TRFC. I was going to say on his blotting paper. I don't think people have blotting paper anymore, do they? I'm slightly worried by the fact that the next club we're talking about with a progress report is Sheffield Wednesday, because I thought this time last week we were fairly certain we knew what was going on there.
Well, we do have a preferred bidder, which appears to be this James Board person. He owns Dunfermline. He's got investments, I think, in a club in Bulgaria and elsewhere. I think the issue with Sheffield Wednesday, which has caused some people to be a little bit nervous, and if I was a Sheffield Wednesday fan, having been through what they have been through with Dejan Chansiri, you can understand them being nervous, was that two documents were lodged at Companies House, both of which were to do with an extension of administration. And the slightly weird thing is that Sheffield Wednesday Football Club have been granted an extension of administration until the 27th of February. That is common, I can assure you. If you've not managed to get a deal over the line, you simply go back to the court and say, this is where we are. We're not trying to trade inappropriately during administration. Will you give us a bit more time to sell the company? And the court will normally say yes. But the other company involved here, which is called Sheffield 3 Limited, and this is the company which owns Hillsborough, it too has had an extension of administration, but that's to the 16th of January. So we now have a disconnect between the stadium and the football club. And I think everybody had previously taken the view that the administrators, Begbie's, would sell them as a job lot. So, does this mean that they anticipate selling the stadium in January? Because it's the 13th of today. This show's going out on the 15th. We're recording on the 13th. It doesn't seem a very long extent. Are they anticipating doing two separate transactions? If they are, I'm always slightly nervous, because that means you could end up selling the stadium this week with the intention of selling the football club a month later to exactly the same party, and something gets in the way. Or it could be due to the fact that Sheffield 3 is not connected directly to the football club, and therefore, if the administrators are selling Sheffield 3, they doesn't have to pass the EFL owners and directors test. So let's get that deal out of the way. So this could be a positive we could see here, and the owners and directors test would have to be separately dealt with, and the EFL sort of indirectly in operating with the independent football regulator will be able to do the rest of their due diligence in respect of the football club.
It's my mum's birthday today, the 13th, would have been. So God rest her. Also, my Auntie Audrey was 93 today.
93?
Yeah. And
Auntie Audrey.
I made the mistake of phoning her this morning before I'd taken my painkillers. She gave me a lot of advice about dealing with my injury that I didn't fully understand. I'm not entirely sure what a poultice is, and I don't think I can sleep on my front for 8 hours. I don't think anyone can sleep on their front, can they? But
no.
but bless her. I said because she's got a sense of humour. I said, does it feel any different? 93? Does it feel any different to 92? She went, fuck, it does. Yeah, it feels terrible. Happy birthday, Auntie Audrey.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also, they're a literal vampire. And suddenly, my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
We all know Producer Guy's a lovely chap, Kieran. And
We do.
I think Producer Guy has been casting his eye around for the last couple of days to find a story that might cheer me up. He could have said Palace women beat Sheffield United away last night, but there's no football finance angle. He could have said, well, our programme will probably be nominated for Best South East programme yet again, but he's gone far. I'm not entirely sure, but God love him. The next story involves Crystal Palace moving a step closer to renovating their main stand. Off you go.
Well, it is good news. I think effectively you've summarised the story. Yeah, there's been confirmation from the club. It does appear that they have got the resources in place, and that was always my concern as to how it was going to be funded, because Woody Johnson has been very conspicuous by his silence since the transaction when he acquired John Textor's shares. Harrison Blitzer are non-active investors. I think they're as much looking for an exit route as they are to do anything else. So I would be surprised if they were going to commit funds. But clearly Steve Parish has been busy, and it looks as this is a step forwards. Now, when you get boots in the ground or shovels in the ground is the next thing to look forward to.
Yeah, this time last week it would have been good news. This time this week, it's going to take a lot more than that to distract Palace fans. Let me tell you, the WhatsApp groups weren't buzzing this morning going, finally, looked like there could be shovels in the ground. It's like, short of signing two £50 million players this week, we need better news than a new stand. It looks lovely. I can't wait for the new stand. It'll be fantastic. In the meantime, a certain club on the south coast, their accounts are out, Kieran, I imagine, written in platinum on solid gold and displayed to the world to the fanfare of trumpets.
Well, no.
Oh, really?
Well, no, and thrice no.
You've gone from Stan Roll to Frankie Howard now.
Exactly, yes. Brian's accounts came out, and I had a look at them and go, that's not great. Before player sales, they lost 110 million quid.
Did they really?
110 million. Now, players, the Brighton model is to sell players.
Well, of course, yeah.
So, but that only reduced it to around about 57. Brighton did spend a lot of money on players, so the wage bill went up. The wage bill was up about 13%. Amortisation was up 60 or 70%. So lots of player costs went up. The money coming into the club went down because they hadn't made as much progress. They weren't in Europe in 24-25, whereas they were in 23-24 and so on. And I think it does show the vast majority of clubs are in the Premier League. When I did my checking, the average losses in the Premier League before player sales was 65 million. So this is certainly towards well into the top quartile of loss-making clubs. I think it also reflects that to a certain extent you need to run to stand still. You need to keep investing in players. That has impact upon wage bill. And it's noticeable that wages as a proportion of revenue has gone up. Even a club which has this regular, Brighton are very well. I hate being told, that's the first thing that people say. You support a well-run club. I don't know. Is that it? It's been like somebody comes to your house and say, "Oh, that's nice taps you got in the kitchen."
Yeah.
What?
Hang
So
on a
yeah,
second. What else do you want people to say when they come to your house?
Oh,
something other than the taps. Oh yeah.
You-
Maybe your house is in Europe, something like that. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Your house has won the FA Cup. You'd like them to say that, but
I would
Yeah.
like to say that. Yeah. I mean, it's not as if they've had to go and sort of spend money on a new trophy cabinet.
that's
So, it does seem a bit. So yeah, it shows just how much. Tony Bloom put in £107 million into the club last year of cash. That's how significant it is having an owner who does have the resources and does have the willingness to invest. But it's still quite scary that clubs are not sustainable
yeah.
in their own right as businesses. And I'm not just saying that to Brighton. The vast majority of clubs are in a similar situation.
Well, there's two things off the back of that. I mean, I think there are fans of probably 50 clubs listening to this who'd go, oh, "Well, I'd snap your hand off for I support a well-run club."
Oh yeah, exactly.
In the long term. The second is, I think and it comes back to the same thing. People will be going, if even a club like Brighton, who everyone assumes is a well-run, and it's a well-run club, and I think most Brighton fans would look at the figures and go, "Well, there's nothing for us to worry about here." But if a club like Brighton are struggling to maintain an even keel in the Premier League, when essentially every club in the Premier League should be quids in, shouldn't they? So that is a bit of a worrying sign.
Yeah, and we've said on many an occasion, the Premier League's ability to bring money in is absolutely fantastic. The Premier League's ability to not immediately spend that money, and it comes back to Sir Alan Sugar's prune juice effect.
Yeah.
And I think it's only members of our generation that know the impact. When was the last time people ate prunes? It's a long time, isn't it? I don't think Gen Z are familiar with them.
Well, you say that, but they're still available on a Sunday in St George's Hospital. Yeah. With or without custard, I say. Of course, I mean, we all know that the terrible shortage of quinoa in South America is obviously having a massive impact on the money. I couldn't even emotionally invest in that, Kieran. I was trying to think of something other than quinoa, but it's fine. It's an interesting story from Stockport, Kieran. Very interesting one.
Yes, Stockport, and I lived in Stockport for a long period of time when I was up north. They have gone from, I think it's National League North, they're now through to League One, so they've made a lot of progress. The new owner, Mark Stott, has invested. It cost them £5 million to get out of the National League. They lost money when they were in League Two, and he's now invested in a Hungarian club called Debreceni VSC. So he's creating an MCO as far as Stockport. And it's not something you'd naturally think of. Why would you do this? But as we've mentioned before, the benefits of having an MCO in the European Union is that it potentially gives you access to players at the ages of 16 and 17. Hungary is it's an interesting country because I was there last year, and the government now has, this isn't a political observation, the government is now doing something very strange, is that you can get discounted mortgages if you have 3 or more kids.
Oh, okay.
Because Europe and certain parts of Asia have a genuine problem with the population, aging population, and a significant reduction in the birth rate. So they're doing this, and this is the only reason why I mention this is sort of it's classic governments not really knowing what they're doing. From my understanding, from talking to people in Hungary when I was there. What they were doing, they were going along to the bank with two of their own kids and a nephew or a niece. And they were just told, just call me Papa, just call me Mama, the next 30 minutes. And then they were getting these discounted mortgages. And the banks, and certainly, certainly when I used to teach in Russia, they like a rubber stamp.
Oh, yeah.
All the authorities there, they love a rubber stamp, Kevin. Every year we used to have the tax man come in with his big cap, and he'd stamp the accounts and smile, and I'd smile at him, and I'd go out of my office, and I'd leave, normally $2,000 or $3,000 in an envelope. I'd come back 5 minutes later, and it wasn't there. I've got no idea what used to happen, but I always used to ensure that I used to produce 3 sets of accounts.
Yeah.
One for the shareholders, which showed the real profits, one for the tax authorities, which probably showed about half the profits, but he stamped them, and then one for the local gangsters, who they wanted 20% of our revenue, and if they did that, they provided us with what they called fire insurance, which meant that
they didn't set fire to your house. Yeah.
And they didn't set fire to the building.
Yeah, fair point. The taxmen in Russia wear uniforms.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't look forward to meetings with tax people half as much if I knew they were going to be there in a uniform. Wow, really? I imagine every time they accidentally knock that $3,000 off, I bet he stamped your accounts with some gusto.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I've no idea what happened to it. I'm naturally absent-minded, but
I think most people in those circumstances would be naturally absent-minded.
Yes.
I can't remember. I suppose it says something about the relative finances of English football and the rest of Europe when a club at a level of Stockport County are able to invest heavily in a Hungarian side, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, Mark Stott has been very successful locally. He is a Stockport lad. Again, there was an open letter, just like Mark Palios's was an open letter to Tranmere Rovers fans. And I also noticed when I read Mark Palios's letter, he says we've now come off social media because the level of abuse that we're getting, and we've seen this. It is quite insidious. I think you and I, we're quite fortunate, but then we're just a couple of affable, ambling blokes. People at football clubs are getting horrendous abuse, and it is resulting in this. And I've just seen that British Athletics, I think, have come off social media as well. Just be nice. Even if you disagree with somebody, you can do it in a civil manner.
Yeah, I tend only to look at tweets that include my name, because I find people can't be asked to go and put your name in it to insult you. I'm not going to go looking for things that go, that bloke off that pod, I can't stand him. I'm glad he hurt him. So it's like this. I know there's certainly, like John Richardson, for example, trolls Twitter all the time to find people saying nasty things, because he says you can't learn except from the bad things, which I think is madness, basically. But I mean, I have to say that I've been pleasantly surprised with the level of. Well, not all Palace fans. I mean, there's been some terrible abuse and anger out there, but most Palace fans are philosophical about it. Really, and I think most football fans. I mean, and the fact is, most people don't go on Twitter. Full stop.
Yes,
and I have this argument with people saying, why are we getting annoyed about some bloke with 58 letters in his Twitter handle with 12 followers? It's a difficult place, Kieran, Essex, to be a football team in. It's because most of the people in Essex look towards Tottenham and West Ham for their football, to be perfectly honest. And we've seen a team in Essex struggling this week.
Yes, Harlow Town. Now, people might say Harlow Town, Harlow Schmown. Why should we care? Why are you covering it? Well, the reason why we're covering it is that they do have a football club.
Yeah.
They've got 350 people on average that turn up, and they've been around since 1867.
Yeah.
So they've got almost 160 years of history and heritage and memories and achievements. And sadly, the club's gone into administration. I took a look at their most recent accounts, and they've not published accounts for a couple of years, which is something I always get a bit twitchy about. It's only level 9, but it doesn't matter. That provision of something to do at the weekend. That it's, as we've always said, you go to a football match and you have the same moans with the same people around you.
Yeah.
But again, for people of a certain age, and we are of that age, that's actually very therapeutic for us. There's too many people that, sadly these days, have nothing but the trip to the football club as their sort of social exercise. I hope Harlow Town come out of administration and they find a new owner. I am a little bit concerned. The owner of the football club is from a property development background, and that historically has meant that some people involved in property perhaps have a bigger picture as far as the football club is concerned. So that's slightly twitchy, but I think that they're renting the stadium. So they lost 130 grand in their most recent accounts, which was 2023. That is a sizable amount of money, and it just shows that regardless of where you are, whether it's Brighton in the Premier League or Harlow Town in Tier 9, football as a business doesn't really make a lot of sense. It had 6 employees in 2002. It had 10 employees so it had found jobs for an extra 4 people. Well, that's 4 families that are getting a positive impact. So the danger of that all being taken away is our concern as much as anything else.
I suppose the positive note for those 350 and more Harlow fans is that we've spoken to the new owners at Farnham and Chelmsford, and clubs at that level can come out of these things facing forward and upward, can't they?
Yes, and I think you've got to be positive. And there are people who are interested in getting involved.
Yeah. What's a Tier 9 club? What sort of level of accounts do they have to publish? Does it just profit and loss, or
no profit and loss is physically published, goes to Companies House?
Right.
So rudimentary.
Right.
I triangulate a couple of figures from the balance sheet to work out the profit. There's not a lot of detail there. But they I think they had over 100 grand in the bank in 2023. So clearly they've worked their way through that, and it looks as if the owner has decided that they're not willing to subsidise the club anymore. And this is the danger. Somebody was asking me today at a different environment, what separates football from other industries? And I say, well, other industries, you judge the success of the business through its accounts. This is profitable. This is potentially providing greater employment. It's generating extra revenue. It's able to pay dividends. It's all of these things. Football clubs, the club that's made the most profit in Premier League history is Spurs. Well, you try finding a happy Spurs fan at present.
Yeah, that lack of detail in Harlow's accounts, then, does that make it harder or easier for a potential new owner to come in and judge how successful the club could be?
It does make it more difficult. You are reliant upon the club having budgets and management accounts and so on. At the same time, the price that you will be paying for the club will be in perhaps tens of thousands of pounds, and therefore you're inheriting, as long as you're not inheriting debt, you just sort of take it and with the view of, let's see where we can go with the club, ideally forwards.
Now, this next story, Kieran, had it been about Aston Villa's men's team, would probably be further up the agenda, but it's about Aston Villa women's team. It's an interesting one, nevertheless.
Yes, we saw 18 months ago Chelsea sell the Chelsea FC Holdings, sold its investment, its 100% investment in Chelsea's women's team for £200 million. And I said at the time, that looks pretty high, given that they play at Kingsmeadow in front of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Newcastle United was sold for 300 million. So it was sold for 2/3 of the price of Newcastle United, who are playing in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And but Chelsea have said that they're happy with that. Chelsea sold it to Chelsea's parent company. That was the issue. And it looks as if Aston Villa FC, or Aston Villa Football Club, have sold the women's team to a company called NSWE Holdings, which just so happens to own the men's team as well. So it's an internal transfer. It looks as if this is now formalised, something which we were anticipating 5 or 6 months ago. Villa's compliance with PSR is okay, but not great. So this will give the club a bit of breathing space. Remember, we were talking about Harvey Elliott recently, and why didn't they buy him in the first place? That was as much driven by PSR as anything else. And without this being this isn't a football show. It looked as if Conor Gallagher was going to go to Aston Villa.
Yeah.
But it was going to be with a loan with an option to buy, and Spurs came in and said, "We'll just buy him."
Yeah.
Why couldn't Villa match that? It's driven by PSR.
Yeah. As this was an internal deal, so to speak, would money have changed hands actually?
No. It's just a bit of paperwork in the account.
Right.
So there's no cash moving around. It will simply reduce the amount of debt that Aston Villa FC owe to NSWE.
Now, this next story, Kieran, seems to contain the words scandal and Argentine football.
Yes. This is something, again, we picked up relatively late, just before we recorded, but it looks as if Argentina's been given around about £10 million from FIFA, but only around about $500,000 of that has worked its way through to the Argentine FA itself. And of all of the people who I never would have down to be a snitch, because we don't like grasses.
We do not.
We both have strong South London roots.
Yeah.
I never had Carlos Tevez down as a potential snitch.
No.
But he had cryptically written, I think before Christmas, something along the lines of, "You better go and along the lines of follow the cash," and the cash isn't arriving in the Argentine's FA bank account. So there does appear to have been a property acquisition take place involving an executive at the AFA, and as a result of that, monies have not followed through to the Football Association itself. So fair play to Carlos Tevez for that. I suspect he wasn't the forensic person involved, but he clearly has got perhaps a beef with some, and it is very, very political, Argentinian football. So yeah, a weird one, to put it mildly.
Want to feel more confident with your finances this year? If you have 60 seconds, I can show you how quick and easy it is to start building healthy money habits that could last you the entire year just by using Rocket Money. Step 1, download Rocket Money. Step 2, link all your accounts and see your entire spending picture, your subscriptions, your upcoming bills, your due dates, everything. Step 3, tap a subscription you don't use and cancel it. Boom! That's money back every single month. Step 4, create a financial goal for something you want to save for, whether it be a vacation, a retirement account, or a pet's birthday. We don't judge. Now let the app automatically move small amounts of cash towards your goal. In a month, you'll see real dollars piling up. In a year, you'll be shocked at how much money you saved. Similar to the over 10 million members on the app that have saved up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Use the Savings Challenge as one step closer to feeling better about your finances today at rocketmoney.com/cancel. That's rocketmoney.com/cancel. One more time, it's rocketmoney.com/cancel.
5 years ago, I was paying $65 a month for my subscriptions. Today, those same subscriptions cost $111, and I don't even use half of them anymore. That's why now I use Rocket Money to manage my subscriptions for me. The app gives you a list of all of your subscriptions and reminds you of upcoming payments, so you're not hit with any surprise charges. On top of that, it also sends you alerts when subscription prices go up, so you always know the price you're paying. If you decide you no longer want a subscription, you can cancel it right from the app. No customer service needed. And the best part is, Rocket Money even reaches out and tries to get you refunded for some of the money you lost. On average, people that cancel their subscriptions with Rocket Money save $378 a year. And overall, Rocket Money has saved its members $880 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Go to rocketmoney.com/cancel to get started. That's rocketmoney.com/cancel. rocketmoney.com/cancel.
For an ultimate story, Kieran, I want to go sort of Jackanory on you. I want to create a picture. I want to take you back 5 or 6 years to the story of 3 podcasts, Kieran. And the first one is a podcast, Kieran, started by ex-England international, goal-scoring legend, football pundit, much revered presenter of Match of the Day, starts a football podcast and media company, does all right for itself. At the same time, ex-Man United and England legend, fullback, starts a similar podcast, sports media company, does all right for himself. Exactly the same time, 2 dozy middle-aged blokes start doing a football finance podcast. I long for the day when the first story in Gary Lineker's podcast is the price of football's been sold for 10 million quid to a global brand, but I suspect we'll be waiting a lot longer. But yeah, Gary Neville's cashing, filling his boots, basically, cashing his chips.
Yes, Global Media, which is, I think ultimately it's a US-based organisation, has bought a majority stake in the Overlap, which is the sports media business, which was co-founded by Gary Neville. Now, again, for the sake of transparency, I've been on the Overlap a few times as a guest. It's an incredible professional outfit. That's not to denigrate those people who record their podcasts in their front room and in hotels. And also, I think it's testament to the fact that it's a professional show that they do. When producer Guy pitched the price of football to us, it was, he says, as far as podcasts are concerned, there's 2 ways you can go. You can go big or you can go niche. And we're not big. It was his thing. Okay. That means we're not going to make any money out of this. But yeah, it gets fantastic figures. It's really good on YouTube, and also Wrighty's on it, Jill Scott's on it, Jamie Carragher's on it. Roy Keane is absolute dynamite.
Yeah.
He is box office, and I think they've got the right personalities. It's an incredibly well-run show, and now what we are seeing is consolidation in the market. There's going to be fewer and fewer truly independent organisations. We are one of the few remaining. We're quite happy to reduce the few remaining by 1 more if somebody offers us some money. But it does show that alternatives to traditional media are around. You've only got to look at things like the United Stand. I follow the accounts of all of our rival podcasters.
Yeah,
I'm bloody nosy, as and they're all doing very well for themselves.
Yeah, I'm actually, for the sake of transparency, I've never been on the Overlap, and I know one of the blokes who books the bloody guests, which is I know when you're going to be on before you know when you're going to be on. I imagine the Anfield Wrap, that would go for a lot of money. I mean, that's technically that's independent as well, but I mean that's turned itself. I mean, quite rightly, it's a fantastic show.
It is fantastic. I know Neil. I've met Neil Atkinson, who's sort of the main guy there. And the other thing, which again people should acknowledge, is it creates employment.
Yeah.
I've been to their premises as well. They've got their merchandise. The show is very popular. They do far more live shows than us, and so on, because Liverpool is a huge brand and they have authenticity. Yeah, because they are from Liverpool, just as Gary Neville ultimately is from Manchester, and they are able to take advantage of that relationship because he's been an England captain, he's been an England international, and so on.
And let's be fair, both Gary Neville and Gary Lineker really annoy the Daily Mail and the Telegraph, so
yes,
they're doing something right, aren't they? Our last story, Kieran, is a rare bad news one for Pep Guardiola.
Yes, a good few years ago, probably about 8 or 9 years ago, he opened a restaurant, or co-opened a restaurant called Tast in Manchester, in one of the swanky areas of Manchester, sort of the King Street area. It's a very good restaurant. I've been there with the Baroness, and we we concluded there's two things. First of all, service superb, food superb, cost up a quarter without being extortionate. It wasn't cheap, but the other thing was it wasn't that busy.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we'd gone on a Thursday or Friday night, so that was a little bit surprised, but that was that's as is. But it's now closing. It's made total losses of more than £2 million. So you say, well, Pep's surely good for that. But then the conspiracy hairs will start running. Why is Pep pulling out of Manchester? Because there is a media narrative that Pep Guardiola he's got 18 months of his contract, but there's rumours that he's going to quit at the end of this season. So that has provided further fuel for that particular fire.
It could be, Kieran. I'm just putting this out there. It could be that he's found out that City are going to be found guilty of all 117 charges, and he's getting rid of his restaurant before it's taken on. I like to think, Kieran, that in Pep Guardiola's restaurant, the waiters would take 2 steps forward towards your table, then take another step backwards, turn around again, pass the tray 3 yards to another waiter, who then stopped for 5 minutes, had a look up, passed it to another waiter, and 25 minutes later, you're all going, just give it, just
food's gone cold.
It's just watching Man City with Ed. It's just he gets. I mean, for a young man to be shouting, just hoof it. It's quick. Oh, no. Don't forget, you can now join. Also, we're not making light. It's never good to see
because again, there are employment.
Of course, yeah. So I wouldn't like people to think that I'm making light of it. I saw a really good documentary the other night about the history of Manchester. It's really interesting. Don't forget, you can now join our Price of Football Club, where you'll get ad-free listening, access to our full back catalogue, bonus episodes, Zoom quiz invites, and more. Just go to priceoffootball.com and click on Join the Club to sign up today. If you have a question you'd like answered on the show, email us at questions@priceoffootball.com. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter and find us on YouTube. And if you'd like to buy our book, you can find details on our website, priceoffootball.com. We'll be back on Tuesday with our regular weekly questions pod. We will be back soon as well with a special questions pod for our club members. In the meantime, I shall hand you over to Mr. Kieran Maguire for his customary farewell before he starts wandering around St George's Hospital, St George's Park. Starts wandering around St George's Park trying to work out who stayed in which room and did what.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to impress anybody if I try to do a few keepy uppies. So I'll avoid that. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everybody for the way that they do support the show. We genuinely appreciate it. Being a member of the club is one such way, but there's another. It won't cost you any money. It'll cost you just a wee bit of time. And that's to give us a review. It's to go. We are proud that we are an independent podcast.
We are.
And that we have found our niche. We have not gone big. We've not sold out yet. Because the reason why we've not sold out because nobody's trying to buy us. But you can do that. It'll take you 30 seconds. It doesn't really matter what you say. That's the crazy thing as far as the algorithms are concerned. So you could even say you would rather the show presented by Stan Laurel and Mark Steele.
Oh,
I think That would be an absolute piece of box office.
That would be fantastic. Mark's been fantastic this week. Mark's been very, very funny. He's not taking the Macclesfield result quite as seriously as some Palace fans have taken. the only trouble with that is it would be a very long pod.
Yes,
Stan liked to chat and Mark likes to chat. I would actually subscribe to that unless of course it was on the overlap, which owned by Global. Bye everybody.
Bye.
The price of football. The price of football.